the Almost Perfect Podcast.
Welcome to the Almost Perfect Podcast, a celebration of fuck-ups, failures, and falling flat on your face. This is a podcast that believes you can learn from experience, but that experience doesn't have to be your own. Hi, I'm Bob Perfect, and I'm a functional fuck-up. Let's learn from somebody else's mistakes. And today we're learning from Dillan Oliphant. Yes, that's right, the Oliphant in the room himself. Now, Dillan is a comedian and a reader of books, as you'll come to learn in this podcast, but mostly a comedian. He's a really funny guy, and he's someone who started out as a one-liner comedian and has since expanded his range quite immensely, and now does a lot more storytelling and a lot more just giving his viewpoints on the world. We get into all of it, man. We get into his early days, we get into where he's from, although if you've ever watched him do comedy, you know that he's from Eldorado Park, because he brings it up in his comedy quite a bit, and we discuss it. In this podcast, we discuss what it's like growing up in a township, in the south of Joburg, and becoming a comedian when that's your upbringing, when that's not even a dream to anyone around you. That's not a real, it doesn't seem like a real possibility. And you know what? He's made it work. He had his dad help him with lifts and would catch taxis, and we get into all of that. So if you want like a cool story about, just someone making it, then this is definitely for you. But there's also so much other fun, just dope conversation that goes down in this one. I actually, before this, didn't really know Dillan that well personally. Like, I've seen him do comedy a few times, and, we've interacted once or twice, but we're not close or anything. And after chatting, on this, definitely get a better feel for the guy. Definitely like him, a lot more. Just, as a person, I'm just damn, this is such a sweet dude. And I feel like you're going to feel the same way. So enjoy, man. I think you're definitely going to get a lot out of this podcast. I know I sure did. And if you do get a lot out of this podcast and you enjoy it, go on to Facebook and find the Almost Perfect Podcast page and give that a like. Don't have Facebook? That's fine. Go to Twitter. Almost_podcast is what we're at there. And if you want to just follow me personally on Instagram, I do post about the podcast on there. It's Almost Perfect Bob. Other than that, if you really like the podcast and you want to get involved, maybe you want to just, throw in some cash because you dig me and you want to make the podcast better, or maybe you want some extra benefits. Well, guess what? You get both. Go to patreon.com/almostperfect and you will get some extra benefits, like being able to suggest guests. A few people have done that, and I've managed to hook up one or two of them, and I'm working on a few others. You'll also be able to ask some questions when I do actually have guests set up properly ahead of time, and I put that out on Patreon, and then you guys will be able to ask some guests some questions. We're also doing a giveaway. I'm giving away a case of Poison City Brewing beer. I've got a case of Durban Poison. As soon as we reach 10 subscribers on the Patreon account, I'm going to give one of you a case of Poison City's Durban Poison. Sounds good, doesn't it? I'm also going to be giving away other things on there. I've got a bunch of stuff. I've got two sponsors. I've got the Poison City Brewing and I've got Unseen Shop. They're my personal sponsors, not sponsors of the podcast. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Anyone listening who might want to. But I've got stuff from them to give away to you guys. And so I'm going to do that through the Patreon because I do need to raise funds. I do need to try and make this a bit better by being able to hire an editor. That's my main goal, like an editor-producer type. Once again, also, if you're an editor-producer type and are willing to work for whatever the Patreon account is at the moment, I think it's $23 a month, then hit me up. Maybe we can work something out. Other than that, I've just moved into my new place, so I'm currently actually coming at you from what's going to be my studio. Currently, it's a pretty barren room. That's why there's some echo, but we'll be getting rid of that over the next few weeks or so. I've got some ideas. I'm going to get some soundproofing, going to get some mic stands, and make this my base of operations so we can get a more consistent product for you. So I can just make it sound better more consistently, more often, because I have had a few complaints. Not complaints, suggestions and feedback and criticisms about the fact that the sound does change a bit. I'm deaf in my right ear. I'm sorry. I am half deaf. So I need someone else to help me with this. And we'll get there. We'll get there together. So that's it. That's the introduction to all of this. That's the sales pitch. That's the whole vibe. Now let's get into the conversation with Dillan Oliphant. But so yeah, you listened to the Neil one?
Yeah, the Neil one was cool, yeah.
Yeah, but Neil's just cool, man. Neil's like an easy dude to chat to in general because you don't need to do anything. He can
He's a proper.
he can have the whole conversation for you.
He is a proper, yeah.
Whereas you're actually like, you seem like a quieter kind of dude. Like your demeanor is a bit more chilled and like a bit more like you don't dominate conversations. Yet, like how weird is that? That you're at a stand-up comedy where you're literally standing with a mic all the time, but I don't know. Like you don't seem like the kind of person who takes up all the space in the room, where so many other comedians do.
Yeah, I'm not I'm an introvert. Yeah, that's what I am. I think a lot of comedians are introverts, but me, I just chill, man. I don't have much. If I want to say something, I'll say the thing, but I'm not a talkative person in general.
And so I guess that's why you're more of a one-liner guy, or you've become known as a one-liner guy at the beginning of your career. But even I saw you on Saturday, and you're no longer just doing
one-liners. I'm no longer just doing one-liners because I think people get tired of the
monotony.
The monotony, and they know they're already like, he's gonna break it down like this, break it down like this. So I try and change it up for them. I give them, and also want to say more. And with one-liners, you can't really say much.
But so you started out with one-liners, so that's kind of how you became known. And was that like, because word economy is obviously important to you. So was that why you went down that route?
I went down that route because it was so much easier being deadpan than showing yourself.
Yeah, I think some other people might agree with you there. It's a bit of a cop-out at times.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely a cop-out where I used it because I knew I didn't have to be anything but just those jokes.
Yeah, that is the thing of the one-liner and the punny guys and stuff like that, is that they all do deadpan essentially.
Yeah.
Like, whereas Jimmy Carr actually has evolved it a lot more. He's kind of got a lot more character to what he does when it comes to the one-liner stuff. I don't know why I went there, but he's kind of, in my mind, like the main one-liner guy. Like,
yeah, I think right now Jim is like the biggest.
Yeah.
I think one-liner comedy is it's not
really a thing.
It's not a thing.
But in South Africa, it's a bit of a thing. You've got like Kobus, you've got Yassine Barnes, you've got Cams Govender. There's a few cats.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a thing in the world. I don't think there's a comedian that's like famous for being, like Kevin Hart famous. I don't think one-liner could ever.
You had Mitch Hedberg. I guess they always become like they're
culty famous.
Yeah.
They're more cult like.
I mean, even Stephen Wright had a lot of one-liners.
Yeah.
Like, so they do kind of get that.
They are famous, but they're like.
And it's because the writing's
under.
so good. Like that's why like people like revere one-liner comedians, I guess, because they say like these truths about life in these small succinct ways that stick in your mind.
I think one-liner comedy is very niche. That's the thing. That's also why I kind of
veered out from
it because I realized it's like very niche. And in South Africa, there's no niche market. There's no niche market. There's either just mainstream or not mainstream.
But you're still not mainstream. Like you're still your own style. You're not like a traditional comic in my mind. Like you've got your own demeanor.
Yeah, I've got my own vibe. Yeah, but I also my one-liners, they don't come from like a place like Jimmy Carr's one-liners. My one-liners come from an honest place.
Yeah.
I speak about things that I know of and I've seen and I've been through.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. My mom was even talking to me about your set on Saturday afterwards, like, which was really nice. Like, that's why I love taking her to comedy, and that's why I love just in general what comedy can do is like it does give you people your perspective, and like they can then see a different side of the world that they had never even thought about in that way or even know like about it, like
yeah. That's what I love. I think that's essentially my favorite stand-up comedians. Comedians with a point of view. I think the best comedians have point of views, and that's what I try and take. I try and take a point of view. The stronger the point of view, the better the joke.
But is it always your point of view, or is it, sometimes do you lie on stage and misrepresent yourself?
Do I lie on stage and
no, like you definitely lie on stage. You're a comedian. Yeah. And how often do you misrepresent like your actual viewpoints on stage?
I think I would misrepresent if I go into some improv, because then my first thought is to be funny and not to be honest.
Okay, but I mean, isn't that the job of a comedian, to be funny?
Yeah, but I can be funny and honest, which I prefer to be.
But do you find your funniness comes from honesty more than anything?
yeah, the things I talk about on stage right now is exactly how I feel right now about those things, and it's exactly what I'm. Whereas before, I don't think I spoke about. That's why one-liners were not. I think one-liners was me just scraping the surface.
But it's not a bad way to start. It's not a bad way to get your name out
I
there.
like one-liners. I still have them in my
Yeah,
set. I still have
of
them
course.
completely. I love them. Yeah, but right now my set reflects how I feel about things right now and how I feel about who I am right now. Yeah, and that's what I want to give.
What's your current one-man called?
Good Kid, Mad Witty.
Yes,
My second favorite album.
the second favorite album of all time or of
Hip-hop album.
Kendrick's?
No, not Kendrick's. No, I think of all time. My second favorite.
What's your
album of all time. I go between. I have two favorites, but
Okay.
I go between them. It's Late Registration by Kanye.
Oh, snap,
I
okay.
love Late Registration.
Yeah, I mean,
And
come on.
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye.
Oh, both by Kanye.
Yeah, I'm a Kanye groupie, I must admit.
I mean, the last few years have really been a struggle to remain a Kanye fan. I didn't even like the last album that much, to be honest, but his music is still very important to me, and what he's done over the years, he's inspired me a lot, man. And that
Yeah.
dude, we could all have a little bit of Kanye's confidence. Not all of it, though, because that's...
Yeah, all of it is a problem.
Yeah, as you can
That's a
see.
problem. Yeah.
But, that self-belief that dude has, has allowed him to create some incredible stuff.
But I do think that without that self-belief, there would be no Kanye.
Agreed, 100%. That's...
So now, what do we want? Do we want a Kanye that is not out there and not have
I
the
just want
albums
him
that
to
we
be
got?
mentally stable, man. That's all I want for him. I want him to just be in a good space. Because the thing is, he has been more mentally, I don't know. Maybe I don't know the guy personally, but how he's been acting online and stuff over the last 2 years, and he has gone to psychiatrists and there has been stuff. So, I want to just that's the thing. I want to see a mentally healthy Kanye that's. Because if you listen to his earlier stuff, yes, there is this anguish and there are these problems that he's dealing with, but it's not coming from such an ostentatious and over the top place. And that's the problem is now I think fame and everything has just, it's too much and it's overwhelmed him.
You know what Kanye became? Kanye became the white man he said he didn't want to become. I think he did. In
a lot of ways.
He's a capitalist. He's heavy.
Yep.
He's a heavy capitalist.
He's super hypocritical.
He's
about
super
it too.
hypocritical. He loves Trump, man. The guy loves Trump.
Depends on the day of the week, but yeah.
No, he said, I think he just tweeted the other day saying that he's going to wear his cap
back
on
on it again.
stage. I was like, oh, you back to this guy again. What's happening? Why are you flip-flopping like this? Yeah.
Mm. Well, you like red though as well, don't you?
Eh?
You like red quite a bit. You're a Man United supporter.
I don't
You're
have a
wearing
red cap.
Yeah, you're wearing a Chicago Bulls cap. You're wearing a Man United shirt, and you're wearing some fly knacks. I don't even know what kind they are because you have a mad sneaker game.
These are Jordan 1s.
Jordan 1s, there you go. But first we'll chat about the shirt, then we'll get to the shoes.
Okay.
Now, you are doing some pretty big numbers online at the moment with your football reports, basically.
Yeah, with my previews.
Yeah.
I do young previews and I add some comedy in it. And people seem to have just...
Yeah, but when did you
Went
start
with
doing those? And this is such a cool thing because it's one of those things you genuinely care about football.
About Man United.
Yeah, Man United in particular. And, now you're creating cool content with it and people are resonating.
Yeah. I thought of it, I never thought of it. One day I just made a video of myself talking about comedy. And talking about Manchester United. And I just said funny things in between. And people were like, you have to make more of these. You have to make more of these. I think that was one of my biggest. I think that one got quite a bit of views. And I was just doing normal stuff. And then I was like, maybe I should just... And then I did it, started out last year, December.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, let me do it, let me try. See people like it.
So it wasn't
go
even
along
the
with it.
strategic thing because I know so many comedians these days, I was at the Comedy conference and stuff. Comic Con? Yeah, that was what it was called.
Comic Con, yeah.
Comic Con, yes, that was it. Although Comic Con's a
But
different
in
thing.
Joburg?
No, they brought it to Durban.
Is it?
Yeah, they came down for a little bit, and guys were discussing social media strats and creating this and that to do it. But so this was just an organic thing that it wasn't this. I need to increase my social media profile, so I'm gonna create a video to do this with.
No, I didn't make the video going, I need followers or likes or whatever. But I do it now thinking what can I, followers. I do think about followers and likes and friends and whatever. But it wasn't made to. It was just to talk about Man United, just to get some Man United fans together, and we do.
Do you get
we
any
talk about
non-Man
things.
United fans coming back
Yeah,
at you?
Liverpool fans and Chelsea fans actually enjoy it. They're the first to ask me when is the next one.
Oh,
when
is
is the
it?
next one coming through? They like it, yeah. It's because it's gags. I make jokes, and then I also make some in jokes, so the guys that support Man United feel like
How many of the gags are written and how many are like on the
most
spot?
of it is written. All of it is written.
Oh,
All
is
of
it?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're like that. You're a.
I'm
like
a writer,
everything,
yeah.
like-
I write a lot. Like I always think about writing these things. I can't. I'm not so good at just
off the top of
just
your
off
head.
the top. No, I can do it on stage, doing stand up. I
Yeah.
can do it off the top of my head, but not for camera. No,
Oh,
I
is
feel
it?
too much pressure.
Yeah, it was weird. I was actually just chatting to Colleen Balkan on the last one. I didn't ask how to say her surname. It might be Balchin. Fuck. But either way, we were discussing like how. Well, I was saying like how that's the thing like that I kind of hate about being on camera is like it's less like because you can fuck up. Like you do, like more often.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas on stage you can't, so you don't. Like, or you do, but you make it funny. But like
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
the time, like when you're on stage, like you can't fuck up. You just have to do the thing properly. Like
When you're on camera, yeah.
no, when you're on stage. When you're on
In the
camera,
stage,
you
yeah.
can fuck up because you can do it again and again and again and again. So
But I always feel like this is my moment. This is it, and I feel pressured
on camera.
on camera. Yeah.
Wow, that's so weird. Like, because for me, it's well, I mean, I also do feel that weird pressure, but like, it's more the people in the room, like watching you, like,
Yeah.
you know, film it, and like, if you're not getting the thing that they want out of you, like, or you're not like, that's the thing I hate. Is like, if I don't understand the direction, or
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like struggling with that kind of stuff.
I think that every time I've been on camera, I've always felt like I haven't done good. Always, no matter what I've done, it always feels like I haven't done
But you
good.
filmed your one-man shows.
Stand up, no, stand up.
but
I'm
that's
fine with. I'm
different,
fine
okay.
with stand up. Stand up, I am more than confident in my stand up comedy. It's one area
Have you always felt that way? Like even when you started,
of my felt that way.
like
Felt
felt
confident about
in
my
your
stand up
yeah.
comedy. No, I faked it in the beginning.
Is it?
Yeah, I faked it. I faked it for a long time. Yeah,
When
that's
did
why I
you
did
start,
the
by the way?
deadpan. I started in 2010.
Okay, damn. So, because my first Joburg gig, you were actually on the bill. It was a Cool Runnings
Is
at
it?
the Underground. Yeah, and you killed. Like, and it was like, I don't know if you were headlining. I think you were headlining.
I don't think I was it.
Well,
What
you
year
were,
was
you were
that?
close. It was 2011, dude. Like you were
2011.
pretty
Who was
high up on-
hosting?
Chris Forrest.
I don't think I was headlining.
Okay, you might not have. Oh, it might have
might
actually
have just
been
been a
John on the
support.
headline, and then you might have been
Yeah.
supporting. Yeah. But either way, like I saw you, and I was like, damn, this guy's hilarious, man.
Oh, sure. Thank you, man. Yeah, so I started in 2010. I was in a competition with Dusty, actually. That's
Ooh,
why I
snap.
started. We did that Nando's comedy competition at
Okay.
Parker's Comedy Club. I think it was my first month or so.
Just straight to. Although that's weird enough. Like like I think my second or third gig was actually a comedy competition as well, and like I
Yeah.
came third, and I was like, oh, I'm
Oh,
the
yeah.
shit.
Well, I
And it's
won
just been
it.
downhill all the from there. There you go.
I won it. I didn't expect to win it, obviously, because all those guys, quite
Yeah.
a few of those guys are quite big now.
Yeah.
Jackson Konzo was in that competition.
Damn. Tats and Dusty are both
That's
like, yeah, big
Dusty.
names.
There was quite a few guys doing that competition.
And so, but even after that, did you not feel like, hey, maybe I am good at this? Did it still take a while for you to fake it, like for a long time?
Yeah, it took a long time for me to be like, yeah, I am good at this. Yeah.
When did you eventually start feeling like you were good at it?
After I recorded Nationwide with Trevor Noah.
The first one, obviously.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, that was in 2015, 2014.
What about that though? Was it the show or was it someone else putting you on? Like, was it because other people said like, hey, you can do this, or did you do the show and go because of doing the show in that like capacity, you know, like doing a big audience like that and it being filmed, and you saw your sets and you were like, I can do this, or was it because other people put you on?
I would think that it's I watch it every now and then. I still watch it if I see it on
Yeah.
TV, and I'm like, wow, that was
So you're
an
proud of that set?
outstanding set. That was an outstanding set, and whenever I bump into people, that's the set that people
Still remember you for?
still remember me for. That's the set that I get quoted on all the time. Doesn't matter. Funerals, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Everywhere I get quoted on that. Everywhere. I got quoted on that this weekend still. So that's the set that made the difference, I think.
But so what I'm trying to get is like, how important for your own confidence was, like the team that selected you for that, like how much did that matter, and how much was it just you being like, I'm actually good?
Look, before Nationwide, I did open for Trevor. Trevor did That's Racist, and I did, and another show I think it was before that. And I opened for him for like a long time before that. So I was always like, I'm funny for these people that's sitting in this audience here, but I've never performed to the masses. No one has ever seen me on TV doing this thing, or not enough people has seen me on TV doing it for me to be like, yeah, I am good at this. And then when Nationwide came out, I think the audience, I'm talking about the general audience.
Yeah, so it's more that the other people, like not people in the industry, but the general public, really appreciated your work.
Really appreciated the work, man. They love that shit. Yeah.
And I mean, so since that set, obviously, did you see your career like trajectory go upwards?
Yeah, since Nationwide, I've gotten to do my one man, obviously, Oliphant in the room.
Yeah. In
other cities, which was on
and people actually showed up and everything.
People actually showed up. We had some tough times in Durban, but let's not talk.
We all have some tough times in Durban.
But actually the first run of Oliphant, the first run of Oliphant in the room actually did well in Durban. We did good. We got numbers in.
But that's the thing. I think you can probably only do a thing once in Durban. Like, doing the same show twice, like, might be harder because we've got only so many like people.
Small little audience. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Trevor is the only one who's ever really been able to like make it work for more than like.
That's because Trevor's
although
palatable.
Although Carvin is an anomaly because that dude can like pack out rooms like every week in Durban.
Yeah.
Like it's so wild, dude. Like I don't get it. Like the guy will perform like 3 times a day and have 3 different audiences all coming and watching him. It's
Carvin's insane.
He is something special, man.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Like I can't even be jealous of him because it's just like I can never do.
He's
that.
also really good, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's.
I like it when I see talents that are really good do really good numbers.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that all the time.
No, because a lot of the time, like the people who are at the top are there because of marketing more than skill. Like.
Yeah, marketing is the big thing here in South Africa, man.
Yeah.
There's a guy in Durban that sold out 3 nights at Sibaya after he got a viral video.
Oh God, I know about these things, but I don't actually like pay attention.
Richelieu Benoit told me about that guy.
Yeah, there's a few guys who do that. Yeah, who have like videos and then do stand-up shows, and the shows apparently are horrific.
Of course it is. You've never done stand-up before in your life. Stand-up comedy is not as easy as making a video. It's not as easy keeping people for 2 minutes in a club is never as easy.
Also, like, it's a big difference having the response, like being immediate.
Yeah.
Like, in the clip, you can do whatever because you're not worried about the response. If you start acting out your stuff and no one's laughing,
then your confidence is, as it shows, your confidence is.
Oh man, that is definitely adventurous and ballsy, and like I get why people have issues with that, in the scene and stuff. But at the same time, like we are still so like young in stand-up comedy in South Africa that I think that's just like teething problems. And as time goes on, like those people might actually become comedians, or they like won't.
I guess they are comedians. It's just
stand-up,
but not stand-up comedians. My problem is with a thing in the industry is that just because you can do something once, here's the thing, you've done something once, suddenly you've become that thing. You know what I mean?
What do you mean by
you
that?
do an open spot, you a stand-up comedian.
Oh, yes.
That's a spit in the face for people that's been doing this thing for 15 years.
But of course you're going to feel like you are once you've done it once. It's the same thing, like, any guy who can play Wonderwall is going to call himself a musician, because you do think you've done the thing and you are the thing now that you've done it a little bit. And those same people, once they've done it like 10 or 20 times, will be like, I'm not a comedian. And then once they've done it 50 times, they'll be like, oh, I'm a comedian now. I don't know.
I think it takes years for you to call yourself a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And I do say this in retrospect because I also called myself a comedian back in the day.
We all do. We're all just so happy to be on stage with a mic and to have people laughing.
But you must respect the work that people have put in before you. I think the people before you is important.
It is, but also I find like the people before you also try and like force respect from you, even like if you don't respect them, like just because they've done shit. Like it's like people want that respect, even like though it's like, oh, you did it first, but you're not that great at it. Like in my mind, like with certain people. But
yeah, that's also another thing. Just because you did it first doesn't mean you're the best at it.
No.
Yeah, you're just the person who did it first.
Yeah,
Right?
So respect to you for being a pioneer, but now I'm gonna try to do this better than you.
Yeah, but also don't act like you and I were on the same. We're not the same though.
Oh no, not at all. Like,
I mean in general, don't act like you and I are the same. I've done this for 9 years. I'm going on 9 years now. And you're doing your
for like 2
fifth-
years or like
Are you doing your 5th open spot?
Oh, yeah.
Now you think we both the same? Yeah, you and I. We're not the same.
It's obviously not the same. I mean, just the journey, even if you've just been doing comedy for 2 years, think about it. You've probably done 2 years worth of shit gigs, like even like in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Essentially, so it is that thing of like, the longer you do it, just the more you go through, the more you know, the more. But I don't know if experience necessarily does make you good, because I'm looking at like the fact that I've got a lot of experience, but I still suck a lot of the time. And then I look at people like Lindy, who like are just hilarious, and like she's only been doing it for like 2 years, but she's just got like this thing that like she's fucking funny.
So you don't think that experience
I
is
think
the whole thing?
I don't think it's the whole thing.
It's not the whole thing.
I think some people have like enough innate talents that they don't need as much experience to get as good as other people. Like for me, I need a lot of experience to get good. But like other people need a little bit of experience to get as good as I am already.
But
like
then, are you saying that someone that starts out could be as good as Chris Rock?
Definitely not.
And you know what I mean? Is
Yeah,
that talent that? Because you can't be that. The talent, you just can't be that good as Chris Rock.
No, it took Chris Rock like 10 years to
It
become
took
Chris Rock.
20 years to become Chris Rock, I think it is. Stand-up takes a long, long time. That's why I say you can't just say you are. I think I'm still a newcomer. I don't think that I'm
You're not an OG, but you're
not
in
an
the mid
OG.
there.
But I don't think that when I look at it's only because our industry is so small that I'm looked at as someone that's not new.
But if you're in America, you would be like a mid-tier spot at the moment, basically, like based on experience. Like people who have been doing this now would be getting, the support slots and sometimes headliners. Whereas obviously in South Africa, you're a headline act.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference, like in terms of that. And it is because there's less comedians, and also a lot of the comedians these days are younger. Like, there was such a small crop, from the 90s and 2000s that were doing the thing, and now from the 2010s there's been a big push.
Yeah, it's funny because when I started out, I think I was probably the youngest comic in Joburg. I think I was 20 when I started out, so I'm going on 29 now, and I think I was the youngest comic. Now the youngest comic is what, 16?
Wow.
There's a 16-year-old doing stand-up in Joburg.
Damn, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
good for him. Like, or her, I don't know. But I mean, how do they get into clubs?
You could just, bro, I saw a baby at Parker's Comedy Club. A baby. That baby got in there. If a baby
but
can get in
I
there.
think that's like, I think once you can start talking, you're not allowed into places with alcohol. I think that's the general rule, because then it makes you unable to talk. So so if you're already a baby, you're already in the drunken state. So it's totally fine. Oh man. Let's actually talk about where you're from, because it does come up in your comedy. Where
Yeah.
are you from?
I am from a township in the south called Eldorado Park.
Eldorado Park.
Yeah.
How far is that from Krugersdorp? Because that's the only thing
From
in the south that I
Krugersdorp,
know.
that's far.
Is it?
Krugersdorp is in the west, I stay in the south.
Oh, is Krugersdorp not in the south?
No, Krugersdorp
Oh, fuck, I thought it was.
is probably southwest.
Okay.
Could be, yeah.
Okay, my bad. Because my dad lived there. So that's my only real experience of
Yeah,
that.
Krugersdorp is in the west.
Okay.
Krugersdorp is in the west. I stay in the south. It's a township next to Soweto.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where they put us.
A township next to, you say us, do you mean colored people? Because Soweto
All of
is.
us.
Oh, okay.
All
No,
of us,
because
yeah.
well, I was just wondering because I don't know exactly how spatial planning would have been, but would colored people and black people be separate or just coined in the same place back then?
colored people are but separate, but they still next to each other.
Yeah,
Just separate,
well, that's
but not
because that's
next
the
to
thing.
each other.
Soweto, I would typically assume as being a black township, and then
Yeah.
Eldorado Park would be
A colored township,
But
there's
they're right next to each other.
also a lot of black people
And a lot of
staying,
crossover in
and a
both.
lot of yeah. So yeah, I stay in Eldorado Park. Well, I used to stay.
I was gonna say,
moved-
do you still do it? No, because you're
I
doing
moved
all right
next
now.
door. No, I just moved next door. I just moved next door. Klipspruit West. That's in Soweto actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So I stay in Soweto now, but it's also a colored neighborhood. It's not a black neighborhood.
Okay, and yeah, I mean, what was it like growing up in?
I'm an only child.
Okay.
So I grew up around my cousins.
Okay.
most of the time, yeah. I spent
Older?
A lot of,
Older cousins.
some older, some younger.
Okay.
Yeah. But mostly my older cousins, yeah. So that's why I know their music also. People always wonder why I know their music they listen to. It's because I grew up with them.
With
So-
older people.
With older people, yeah. So yeah, I grew up with my cousins. Most of the time, spent a lot of my days at my granny's place. I was a loner also. I am still a loner.
But were you the type of loner who would crack jokes and get everyone else laughing, or not
No, I
so
think I'm
much?
still the same. I think I'm still the same person I was as a child. I was quiet. I was quiet as a child and quiet as a adult.
And I mean, did people ever make fun of you for that? Were you ever picked on because of it, or were you left to your own devices?
I was bullied. I've been bullied. I was bullied in grade 8.
Just the 1 year.
Just the 1 year, because then I got my cousin. My cousin was like really big built. And
Okay.
he was at the school, and I got my cousin to tell those boys to leave me alone. And they left me alone since.
Okay. So you were lucky. You were quiet, but you had some like backup. Like,
Yeah, I know some people. That's how it's gangster.
and that kind of
I know
allows you
some
to
people.
be quiet, because then you don't have to be like, I'm gonna fuck you up, or like do it like that, because you can just be like,
Yeah, because I went to a government school, and in those schools, I guess high school on the whole, it's a
It's a rough
dog
experience.
It's a dog world. But I managed to get some good friends, and they helped me through high school. Because I hated school. I would never go back there.
I don't know
ever
if
again.
you've ever met a comedian who enjoyed school.
There are people who enjoy school, but I'm not one of those.
And how much did like growing up in Eldo's affect you wanting to become a comedian, or not wanting to become a comedian? Because I guess growing up in a township, is that like a realistic goal?
What, a stand-up comedian?
Yeah.
No, that's not even a goal. That's nothing, bro.
So when did that come about? How did that come about?
I watched a lot of stand-up comedy. I just enjoyed watching stand-up comedy. Chris Rock is my
Yeah,
hero.
he was-
Rock
he's-
is my hero, bro.
He's not my hero anymore, but he's the guy growing up that I watched the most.
Yeah.
And he's the reason why I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Like,
Chris Rock is, for me, Chris Rock is the king. I don't put anyone above. I don't get why people put Chappelle above Chris Rock, but that's their thing. I went to watch Chappelle live also when he was in the country.
I do get why, but it's because of Chappelle's mysticism. Like, it's because of him leaving for those 10
it's 'cause of him
years.
hiding away. And
Exactly.
all
Like,
that, yeah. He's like a Pokemon. Like a rare Pokemon. A rare, funny Pokemon. That's what he is. But yeah, I watched Chris Rock. Chris Rock is like my...
Never scared, bigger and blacker.
Niggas versus black
Black people, yeah.
That gag was my favorite gag. And in hindsight, I don't really
yeah, as a white
agree with
person,
the
it's awkward
politics.
to enjoy that joke.
In hindsight, I don't agree with the politics even in that joke.
Actually, dude, what I enjoyed
But
about
I did find it funny.
Yeah, the thing, my favorite joke of his is the innocent bystanders. A bullet, there would be no, if a bullet cost
Oh, yeah,
$1,000,
yeah.
there would be no more innocent bystanders. Dude, when I heard that, blew my mind. But the tag of "I believe you've got my property," that killed me. That tag just my whole life, I hear that every now and again,
Yeah.
in the back of my head, "I believe you have my property."
Chris Rock is also, I guess,
He's a
because
master.
I grew up in the church. And Chris Rock is a very pastor type of
In the way
comedian.
he,
In the way he
yeah.
presents his comedy, and I guess that's what I liked about him too. He's very preachy.
preacher.
Oh, no, he's a
Yeah.
preacher, that guy. So I think that's also one thing I liked about him.
Actually, that's a weird thing, because if you think about a lot of the older black comedians from that time, you look at Bernie Mac, you look at, the kings of comedy, there was a bit of a preachery aspect to it. Do you think that's a thing in black comedy maybe? Growing up watching pastors preach that it comes into the comedy. I wonder.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think pastors are best at holding an audience.
Well, yeah.
They are
They have to
amazing.
do it like
They
without
do
getting
it
laughs
every week,
for
bruh.
like
They got
2
material
hours.
every week, bro. They got material every week from a one book. From one book.
They're gonna keep coming up with new stuff
They
each
gotta
time.
keep coming, bro. And people keep coming back where they feel like they are wanted. And I think that's what Chris Rock also perfected. He made people feel like part of a congregation.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like so watching him, you were like, I want to do this, but then what made you actually like do it? Because like you're saying, it's not even a dream like that. So
Yeah, it's not a thing. Stand-up comedy was never a thing.
so when did you start feeling like, A, I want to do this, and B, I can do this?
I felt
You always
well, I
wanted
watched
to.
Chris Rock. I was like, I felt like I can do it. I searched for a comedy club in Joburg. I found Parker's Comedy Club, called them up, asked them for open spots.
Just straight up Parkers, like kind of starting
Yeah,
towards
well,
the top there.
Well,
Was that the only one around
in
then?
2010, I don't think there was many.
It was Cool Runnings Underground and then
There was
Parkers.
Cool Runnings, Parkers, and My Jet. Darren Moll used to run a thing called My Jet.
I'm not gonna say anything about Darren Moore.
But yeah, Darren Moll used to. Darren Moll actually helped me quite a bit in my career. But anyway,
Good for you.
you hooked me up. So I just called Parkers and I was like, they said they've got an open spot, and I went to do my open spot there.
And how did your first gig go?
I had to do 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes.
Did you have friends come through?
No, I only had my mom and my dad come through. So I did 3 minutes and I got stuck and I went off. They clapped me off. It was finished. But I wasn't
Awkward.
dying until 3 minutes.
And then
I was actually doing quite well.
so you're doing well, and then you kind of fucked it up.
And then I messed it up myself, yeah. Because if I had my other gags, because I prepared gags.
But you
I
just
never
forgot
did
them.
this thing before, but I prepared. Because some guys think, a lot of guys that try out always just go on stage and think they've got
Yeah, that's
the
what's.
funny thing.
I've had that with the Winston because we do open mic and stuff. But like, and guys will come and they won't have material. I'm just like, but have you not watched us do this thing? Do you think? Did you think we're just making that all up? Like,
yeah,
because they'll get up and try and like start talking and like, but they don't say
Improvising
anything
and-
funny. Like,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
no punchlines. There's no like anything. And I'm just like, but guys, how do you think this works? Like, you got to think about it first. You can't just.
I've never, because people always ask you, do you come up with these things on the spot or do you? But since I've watched stand-up comedy, I've never watched it and thought, wow, this guy is good at just thinking up things on the spot. I always thought this guy just goes home and writes these things, man.
I mean,
And-
even guys that are good at making stuff up on the spot, like Dusty and that, like
Yeah.
do also have their hooks. Like they do have their things that they'll like go towards, and like they won't say the exact same thing, but they'll like like Dusty like loves being crude and that, and can get big laughs out of that. So
Yeah,
it won't be the same thing every time, but like he's got his techniques.
yeah,
know,
it's a
within the
technique. Yeah,
improv.
yeah. Comedy is a technique, man.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of technique happening in there.
How much of your comedy do you find is acting? Because that's something I'm busy like trying to mull over in my mind. How much of what we do on stage is it's an act? Because it is an act. Like
Yeah.
so for me, the struggle that I'm having at the moment is putting on the act. Like, and so how much of it for you when you're on stage? Do you find yourself putting on an act, or is it just a more heightened version of yourself, or what's the deal?
I think it's just a more heightened version of myself. I really I do believe the things that I say on stage are the things that I mean.
Of
and
course, but the
and
way
how I
you
feel.
present them
But
is
how
what I mean by the
present
act.
them is, I think that's also how I am in person. People have been telling me that I do give off the person that I am on stage.
Yeah,
What do you think?
you do. Like talking to you now is fairly
Yeah.
similar to how you talk on stage. Like you're at the same. Maybe you have a few more pauses or like longer pauses on stage
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you
yeah,
have here. But other than that, it's the same kind of like, or I don't know, not quite the same pace, but like yeah. Because I
think
do love your pacing. Like when you like,
yeah?
I think that's what makes like your comedy like really unique. Like especially like
Yeah,
on a
yeah,
lineup
yeah.
compared to everyone else's. Like, yeah, like it's you make people listen with the way you
Yeah.
time stuff.
Yeah, someone came up to me some audience member came up to me saying that I really suck people in.
Yeah,
They really want to hear what I'm
Yeah.
going to say next. And I was quite chuffed by that because I've never felt, with my one-liner style, I've never felt like I pull people in because it's such a style that it's such a disconnected style. One-liner comedy, such a disconnect. You could talk about your father being dead now, and then in the next joke later,
completely
your
different.
father's alive.
Yeah.
Your father's doing this.
I mean, I do enjoy doing that. Like I do like all my girlfriend material together, where we're together, we're not together, like, like all in a row, like just to fuck
Yeah,
with
yeah,
people. Like, but
So
yeah.
what I have been trying to do with my stand-up is developing me developing my voice and what right now I think I'm in the process of doing the stand-up that I really want to do and not the stand-up that I think people want.
Only 9 years in.
Yeah, only 9 years in.
Yeah, you're ahead of the curve there, man. Well, how much of do you I guess that's the thing that a lot of comedians in this country, especially at the moment, are trying to do is provide comedy that they think other people want.
Yeah.
It's weird because I do look at comedy and I see people just trying to be strategic and trying to maximize their audiences and just be famous more so than
reach
be an artist.
the masses
Exactly.
instead of
giving their viewpoints on the world.
giving their viewpoint on the world. I'm my comedy. I don't care what people think. I don't have a marker. I'm these are my guys. But color people do come out to my shows most of the time because they relate to who I am, I guess, and what. But I don't go, white people like this, well, black people like this, well, color people like this. No, I don't care. If it's funny to me, I'm going to go put it out on stage.
But do you sometimes, if it's funny to you and you put it out on stage and people don't laugh, do you remove it from your sets or do you keep some
Yeah, I
jokes
do
in that you
remove it
love?
because I don't want everybody.
Do you never
it's funny to me doesn't
But do you
mean
never
that.
keep any of those
I
jokes
do
in?
keep
Okay.
keep some things. I'm like this. You guys just don't get it. I don't.
It
care.
doesn't matter. Every time
I won't
it
keep
gets
a
a
big
half
joke.
laugh, but
If it's a big joke, or if I've expected a big laugh from it, then I will take it out. But if it's a smaller side and one of those younger sides, I will.
And you can always just jokes that don't get big laughs. You can always just write them in as little asides in other places.
Yeah. That's what I do. Make sure that I make sure what I find funny, I do what I find funny.
And how many jokes do you keep for years that you you try it out once maybe and it's not quite there, and then a few years later you think of it again and then you rewrite it and it works?
I've gone back to some old jokes, but
is it embarrassing to look at them?
Because
Because I look at my old
it is a
joke
bit
book, dude, and
embarrassing,
it's
yeah.
so bad. Some of the ideas I had were insane, but I also kind of appreciate that I was almost more creative back then.
I'm 28 now, going on 29, and when I look back at my old jokes, my view on the world is way different. I've become a different person to what I was when I was 24 or 25. I read more books now, so I think big of the world now.
Okay, so you're thinking big of the world now, but you're also now starting to have a viewpoint. You're putting your viewpoints out there in that. Do you not worry that, so if you record your special, your current one, sorry, remind me again, Good Mad Witty, have you recorded it yet?
No, I haven't recorded.
But you're going to?
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah.
Do you then worry that maybe in 5 years' time your viewpoints will be different?
I don't think I'll ever be a right winger. I don't think I'll ever be a right winger. I
Sure,
think I'll
but-
always lean left.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I've always leaned left, and I've also, within being on the left, changed my position because being liberal and being on the left are very different. There's so many different sides to the left. You can be an anarchist, socialist, blah 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 on the left,
Yeah.
or you could be Helen Zilla and you think you're on the left. You know what I mean?
But I think I'll always hold the left wing idea. I don't think I'll ever be. I think I'll obviously evolve. My ideas will evolve over time. I'll look at things differently. I hope I look at things differently 5 years from now. You don't want to be the same person.
Of course, but then how would you feel having your older viewpoints immortalized? Because that's what I'm I think about this. I'm shit, man, if I put out something and then in 5 years' time I disagree with half the shit I said, then what? Because we learn, we grow, and that's, I do, you even look at big comedians, even George Carlin, throughout his his stuff, he changed some of his viewpoints.
Even Chris Rock
And Jim Jeffries.
Because when I see that niggas versus black people, I'm sure if
He did it
Chris
now.
Rock wouldn't do it now, I'm sure that.
Although he did do that bits about when white people can say the N-word and stuff, and I think he's
Yeah,
still.
that was 2008.
Was it?
That was 2008. That was on Kill the Messenger.
Was that 2008?
That was 2008, bro.
Wow, life is flash before my eyes. I saw that live. I thought that was the other day.
Yeah, that was 2008. That's on Kill the Messenger.
Damn, I've got the DVD at home. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's always played in that space of race a lot.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him, Louis C.K. probably wouldn't have done a lot of his race stuff either. like because the two of them together. I mean, you look at
Yeah.
Pretty Tang, you look at all of that. They've always had like, that
Yeah,
conversation about it at least. So that's the thing. You might I might not agree with Chris Rock's stuff, but like I can always go like, at least he's bringing up these conversations and like making us all think about it.
Well, growing up as a colored person, in my family or in my circle, we never ever spoke about race. Race was not a conversation. It just wasn't a thing amongst colored. And I realized
Race
that
was a conversation amongst white people, but it was racism.
And I realized that was a big problem. That's why colored people lean towards the right. That's why they are more right wing than they are, because they don't want to talk about race, because we don't want to talk about what apartheid did to us. We want to just leave it behind and act like it didn't happen, whereas it happened, and we are
both benefiting and not benefiting
Yeah.
from it. Like there's the two sides of that coin, where it's like, colored people are still lesser, and also like because of how power dynamics have been structured. Like
yeah.
I always hear that, like colored people feel like they, well, not always, but often like aren't black enough and aren't white enough kind of thing. But also other people are like, you're too white or you're too black.
But I also think that we aren't black enough or aren't white enough is more colored people trying to not be black. Colored people have
racist in a lot of ways. From what I
colored
see. And here-
people are anti-black, and I know this because I'm dark in complexion, and whenever colored people perceive me as a black person, I can feel the way they talk to me. I can feel it. I can't necessarily say it out loud, but I can feel it. And when they realize I'm a colored person, and that's when they lighten up a bit with me.
wow. I can't eat like.
And I'm a colored, but before, I'm telling you, when I meet colored people and they a light in complexion colored person, I feel the vibe between us, and it's not.
Fuck, man. You see, these are things obviously like I would never like experience firsthand, but chatting to people like you and chatting to like other colored people like who are more left and more liberal, like it seems like it is a pretty big issue within the community of like just anti-blackness. And I think that's obviously because of like what my motherfucking ancestors did, like because it was about exceptionalism, like we try to structure the different races and created a hierarchy. And so
and getting rid of that hierarchy means getting rid of power.
Exactly.
And getting rid of power is not.
Power. People with power don't ever want to give it up, man.
I wonder what it is.
I wonder what it is about it. Oh man, so that's the thing. So when you were doing one-liners, were you ever like thinking like, man, I'd love to talk more about my experiences? Like, or were you just focused on trying to be funny and just trying to get good at the thing?
I was just trying to be funny, man. I was trying to learn comedy.
So what changed then to the point that you were like, let me actually start giving my experiences. Let me start putting my viewpoints out into the world.
I don't know. I guess I've always been a reader of, I wouldn't say books. And I started reading books. Like I've been reading magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
I've never been not a reader, because there's a lot of people that don't.
But the
read
thing
at
is, you
all,
read
know what I mean?
articles more
I read
than
articles,
which is still
whatever.
dope, dude.
Yeah.
Articles are where it's at. You
Yeah.
can learn a little bit about a lot reading articles. But if
Yeah.
you want to learn a lot about like one thing, then obviously a book's better.
A book is better, yeah. And then I started reading books, man. A girl bought me a book, a Rio Ferdinand book. Rio
Cool.
Ferdinand is
Good start for you, I
yeah,
think.
it's a good
Like,
start, yeah. Man United footballer.
and then the next one was obviously David Beckham. And then
And I started reading those books, started reading biographies. And I was like, oh, interesting. This is the white man's world. Well,
there were libraries in Africa long before there were anywhere else, bro.
No, not the books. I'm saying
Yeah.
the people that wrote the books. This is the white man's world. Let's read books from a black man's perspective. And most of Rio Ferdinand was a black man, but he was also
In a white world,
in a white world, yeah. Whereas then I started reading books from the black man's perspective, and it just started and just went, and I was like, I have more opinions. I have more opinions than what I thought I had.
just from
And
reading other things.
Just
I
from
like
reading
that.
other things, yeah.
Because
Have
it
more
does,
things.
like, the more knowledge you come across, the more you can agree or disagree with. And, like,
Yeah.
like if you've
yeah.
never heard an idea, you never know if it relates to you or not. But, like, the more ideas you come across, the more it can go, like, yes, that's
Yeah,
exactly it.
Yeah. And then also reading books made me realize what my viewpoint was 4 years ago. Because sometimes you read a book and be like, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But I could never put it into words. That's the thing I thought when I was telling, like my girlfriend always just, or my ex now, the girl, she always tell me about how apartheid wasn't that bad. I was like, but like,
Was she what?
but no, she was a colored chick, right? Because you know colored people.
yeah.
right?
As you've been saying.
I don't lie when I say this kind of. And then I was like, but no, man, I don't think we.
Like, even my mom was like, yeah, apartheid was terrible.
It was terrible. It was like, how, in my mind, I was like, how can she think this? How can she think this? And I realized she grew up in Eldos, went to church. Church also plays a strong
It does.
role in your politics. It plays a really strong role
Yep.
in your politics because that's more, I am chosen.
And the thing that irritates me is like people go conservative like through the church, but if you're like listen to Jesus, that dude was
He was a
bro.
socialist. Yeah, he was a socialist.
He was hanging out with prostitutes and trying to redistribute
He
wealth.
fit
Man.
everyone. Yeah, he fit everyone, bro.
Yeah, like I love like Jesus as like an ideology and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but just the way his story is
Yeah,
used
his
is such
portrayal.
a such a problem.
So yeah, so I come from that. I come from a conservative. I'm still conservative in some ways. I would think I'm still conservative when it comes to some things. But books really helped me, man. Books really helped me open up, and stand-up comedy on the whole helped me.
Because
I
you-
met people that was different to me.
That's one of my things that I love about comedy, man. Is like I just get to, like, a lot of people I don't actually listen to, but every now and again, like when I do listen
Yeah.
to some comedians and stuff, I learn. Like
yeah.
like there's, I mean, a lot of comedians you can't learn from at the moment. Like, no, for real. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people getting up on stage and they're not
Yeah,
saying
yeah, yeah.
anything. You know, they're
It's-
telling
yeah.
jokes, but they're not giving me who they
Yeah.
are. They're not giving me a viewpoint on the world. They're just
Yeah, yeah.
telling me about the fucking flat. There. Like, and I don't care about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But like, it's cool. Do your gags for
Do your
you and
thing,
stuff
yeah.
like that. But yeah, man, like, yeah, I love.
Because
It's about like you get like new experiences. You get to see a whole new side of the world that you are not a part of. Like a lot of the time.
definitely, yeah. Because before stand-up comedy, I had no options before stand-up comedy.
What were you thinking about doing?
I didn't know what I wanted to do. I dropped out of college. I was like, this is not what I want.
What were you studying at college?
I was studying media, journalism.
Journalism.
Yeah.
Damn. That's interesting, man. Like, why journalism though?
I don't know. I just
You wanted to be a
my father's
writer,
a
like-
teacher. My
Okay.
father's I wanted to be a writer.
Yeah.
That's for sure. My father's a teacher. I thought after school, he told me I can't sit at home, and if I'm not gonna sit at home,
Go study.
I
Like,
have to go study.
and was getting a job difficult at that time? Like any kind of job, or like were you trying, or like there was that not a thought? Were you just like, let me just go study?
I didn't
instead?
want to get a job because
Okay.
I was like, I also don't want to just work. I don't wanna work unless I'm doing something that I want to do. So I thought, okay, let me go study for the next 2 years.
That's what a lot of
hopefully-
people do.
Eh?
That's what a lot of people do. Like
Yeah,
after they're
yeah,
teenage years, they go study because they're like, I don't know what I want to fucking do.
yeah, let me find what I wanted to do. And I found stand-up comedy, and I'm glad I found stand-up comedy, man. Because I never thought of the world as big.
I get that. Yeah.
I've never thought of the world as big. A lot of people give you an idea. The other day, my friend, one of the guys in the street, asked me where am I performing next. Where's my next show? I was like, no, my next show is at Melrose Arch. I'm doing my one-man show at Fire and Ice Hotel. It's like, Melrose Arch. Don't lie to us. That's not the real place. I'm like, my guy. My guy.
Wow. Like that is like a small world, hey?
It's a very small world, bro. I mean, Melrose Arch.
It's
is-
right here. Like I know.
Pretty
Like
much, yeah.
I'm from Durban, and I know.
Now
Like,
they're trying to convince me, hey, bro, it's a real place. I've been there many times before. Like, till this day, those guys call me Melrose. I don't want to believe
no matter
it,
how
Melrose
successful
Arch.
you are, you'll still get clowned on by like the people
Melrose
like from
Arch
your
is not a
home.
place. Melrose Arch is just not a place. It's not. So yeah, it's I come from a place where it's difficult.
Where
it's
your
hard to get out.
where your
of there.
horizons are pretty small.
It's pretty small. Yeah, get a call center job.
But do other people not see what you've done with your life and like, you know, get inspired by it at all? Or like has anyone in your community like are you a hero in your community at all?
I'm quite my community loves me, but I also know that I was a bit fortunate compared to other guys who want to do stand-up comedy. I had my father driving me around to gigs, bro.
That is lucky, dude.
Who has a father to drive them around to gigs, bro?
Dude, I mean, that's the hardest part when I come up to Joburg, dude. It's like, people are like, oh, come do my gig, come do a gig. I'm like, I can't get there.
Yeah.
Can you pay me? No, dude, open slot. Can't come.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even my mom drove me on Saturday night.
Oh,
and
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, if she didn't, I wouldn't have been able to do the gig.
Yeah.
Like, and it is like, that's, I mean, Joburg especially, that's the hardest part about doing comedy up here, I think, is getting around.
Getting around is quite difficult.
Because Joburg is, nothing is close.
Yeah.
Like.
So I had a father that was willing to.
And coming all the way from the south to come to gigs.
Because the south is quite far also.
Yeah.
This is from the south, this is a 30-minute drive without traffic. Yeah, so I had a father that
so he was
would
always
drive
supportive.
Yeah, my father was always, he would always, there were some fights. Because, I mean, I don't think any parent wants their child to be a stand-up comedian. I don't think any parent wants that for their child.
Like, I don't know, man. Well, it depends. Like, most parents from the generation like before us in this country don't see entertainment as a real career or as a real possibility. And the thing is, they're kind of right. For most people, it isn't a real possibility. Most people who try and make songs or get on stage or become anything in terms of the entertainment industry do not become the thing. Like, they don't. They just fucking
That's
don't.
true.
There's
That's true,
only
yeah.
so many spaces, like, available. There's only so many spots, like, to become successful.
That's very true,
So I
yeah.
get why parents are more like, no, just get a fucking job, because anyone, like, if you study, there's 700 places you can get the job. But are
Yeah.
you funnier than Trevor Noah? No? Then fuck off. Go get a job.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
Like, but at the same time, it is cool that he was actually supportive and would drive you to gigs, man.
Yeah, my father used to drive me to gigs all the time. And we'd fight sometimes saying that this is late. No, it's not
Yeah.
late. Gigs run late.
Yeah, I mean,
If you've done
yeah,
Ozone
I've had
in
those fights.
Soweto, if you performed in Ozone in Soweto.
Oh, that goes to
you
like
would
4 in
know
the
how
morning, doesn't
late
it?
gigs. Yeah, the one time I called my father like 2 a.m. to come pick me up. He wasn't too happy about that a little bit.
I've heard about those gigs, man. Yo.
So yeah, but my father has always been a believer.
And so, like, that gives you a leg up over a lot of people, because that is the thing, man. Like, and I also think at the moment it must be pretty hard in Joburg to really, like, get into comedy, because there aren't as many open slots available to new acts. Like, there's a lot of rooms, but there's so many comedians, and there's so many good comedians, and there's people moving here from all around the country now. So it's just becoming, like, sharks everywhere.
It's becoming smaller, yeah.
Yeah.
It's becoming smaller. Yeah, so it's hard to break through also. So it's gonna take some years of patience if you want to break through now. Whereas, because I heard the other guys that some guys have to audition to do an open spot. I was like, okay, that wasn't when I was around. I've never done
The open
that.
spot was the audition.
The open spot was the audition, and like so I was shook by that. So it's harder to get in there now. So if you're from the hood, you must come through to Poppies on a Monday. It's not gonna be easy. I used to get a taxi every Monday to Poppies, which was wish at
But
the
then
time,
getting
right?
back?
My dad used to pick me up.
Oh,
and,
okay,
yeah.
cool. Because shit, that's far.
And then I would just come through every week, whereas other guys don't even have taxi fare to.
No,
to
you're
get to-
you're not
to get
joking.
to
And
a
like
show.
that, like, comedy is actually, people don't get like how hard it is to get to a point that you're actually being paid, like that you're actually like able to afford to go to the gigs that you're doing, because you do comedy for free for a very long time for most people. Like,
Yeah, it's a very long time, and it's a battlefield. It's a battlefield up in
I mean, even now, like, I'm sure you probably have like some struggles with, you know, people debating your fee and stuff like that. Is that ever an issue for you, or do you have like good management now that like it's not an issue?
I got someone to run my
Business.
to run my business. 'Cause I'm a bad businessman, man. I'm a stand-up comedian. I always tell people I am a stand-up comedian first, as I'm not rich, because I'm I'm a bad businessman. I'm trying because you must get your money.
See,
out.
I'm a terrible businessman, but like I'm a entrepreneur that like just like creates things like of sorts, but like they never make money, but they're like successful and have impact, but they're never like things that like I can then like pay my rent with, which is a bit of an issue. And so I'm not a businessman. Like,
I'm not a businessman myself too, but I'm trying to be because you don't wanna be the poor artist who dies.
no, you don't, and that's what actually does happen to a lot of people.
I don't think I want to be a poor artist.
But what's the plan now though? Do you want to go overseas? Are you like, because for your career and to not die a poor artist, I mean, you're going to have to keep building on what you've done. So
Yeah, so I have no plans yet to go overseas, but if the opportunity arises, I think I'll go through. I don't know how I feel about going overseas, and I don't feel like I'm as good as I want to be.
you don't think you're as good as you want to be yet to be able to?
I don't think
I wish other people who were like, doing it thought the same way as you, man. Like, but even maybe you shouldn't have that feeling, man. Maybe you should like just be like, let me just go do the fucking thing, because you're good enough. Like, you might not be as good as you want to be, but you're definitely like on the level.
I don't know. I'll still see. I don't think.
Do you want to try and get as big here first, and then?
Yeah, I think that's the same thing Trevor did. Trevor got big here in South Africa first, man. And then it wasn't. I'm sure it was much easier getting overseas.
Yeah, once he had everything else like set up here.
Once he had everything set up, yeah. And you want to do comedy for your people, man.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
I just don't know who my people are. So it makes my life a little bit difficult.
For tickets.
Yeah, that would be nice, eh?
Very nice, yeah.
I mean, but that, like, is that an issue that you also face? I mean, like, because colored people are usually poorer, like, because of the way history is gone.
I do. Ticket sales are different for me than...
because you're not appealing to the middle class, like, typically. Like, like, you might have middle class people coming through to your show, but that's not, like, your demographic, like, essentially.
I don't know what's the barrier, why people do not come to the shows as much as I want them to come to the shows.
But it'll be transport money.
Yeah. Although I don't think, I think there's enough rich colored people Fair
enough.
There's enough. There's not.
But did you think that those people still want to hear jokes about Eldorado Park? Like,
do I think they want to hear jokes about Eldorado Park?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or would they not be wanting to disassociate themselves with that? Maybe they're like just talking about the colored exception.
There's actually some people find joy if you make fun of Eldorado Park. Some colored people they find joy because
the middle class.
Look at them. It's look at them.
So that actually allows them to feel more superior.
I feel so much better.
But then how do you feel about that, man? Because obviously when you tell these jokes about Eldorado Park, right? Eldorado Park. Sorry, I keep Eldorado. Why am I fucking that up? That's so easy. But like, because you were talking about being shot at the other day, like in your sets and stuff, and like you do talk about like how it's shit to grow up in a township sometimes. And so like, do you ever stress about that, like how people receive those jokes? How
people receive those jokes. I think
because their own biases get confirmed.
Because the stance I take on the stance I take on that joke specifically, the joke about me, about her, I don't think that's a reflection on the colored people. I think it's a reflection on the environment.
Yeah.
More than that's why I go. Like, it's hard growing up in a township. I don't say it's hard growing amongst coloreds. Then I think it's a bit different.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually,
if it's hard growing amongst coloreds, it's not the people. It's the place.
It's the environment.
It's the place that's sick. The place is sick. For me, I would never. Maybe in the beginning, I think I would pander to an audience so they can accept me. Like, colored people are so funny.
Yeah.
But like right now, I'm a bit more militant than I've ever been before. So I don't think I'd take a point of view where I'm like, those are others. I say I want to move out of a township because of the situation, and not we should all move out. If I had a choice, we should all move out from there.
Yeah, amen.
We must all get out of there. None of us deserve to stay there. That place was not made for people.
Not for dignity.
It wasn't made for people. It was made for for something other than people.
For slavery, essentially.
Yeah, slavery.
Like legalized slavery.
Yeah, just like a lighter version and a much lighter version.
Yeah, it's like fuck, dude. I still to this day. I mean, because even just like the reason why that was all put there, you know, is so far down. It was meant to make it harder for you to get like out.
To get out. Yeah. That's why I named my show Good Kid, Mad Utd, because the Elm Good Kid, Mad City. He speaks on life. Kendrick speaks on life in the township, in the ghetto, in Compton. It's the same thing there.
Similar, yeah.
Similar
like
vibes,
ghettos are more suburban than townships, but like
yeah. But the same vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah, the same intentions.
Because like I would say like
intentions.
I'm like where I stay like is kind of like a ghetto. Like it's an Ambilo. Like it's like I stay in council flats and shit, and so like our services aren't really there. And, like, you know, but like I don't know what township life is like at all. Like I have no fucking clue. Like I can imagine there's still quite a big. I think like a ghetto in South Africa is probably like a step up from a township almost.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So yeah, in Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick speaks on his life in the hood, and Good Kid, Mad Utd is me speaking on life in the township, my life in the township. It's me trying to make sense of why we are here, why mentally colored people are in this place, spiritually, why are we such big Christians? Why? That's one.
Well, I've got a theory.
Why are we such big Christians, and why are we wired like this? Why? Because colored people, we are not represented in the media. We are.
No, that's why Neil being on East Coast is so big, man. Like
yeah. We are not, or at least not. Only one story gets.
Trevor Noah's story.
Not even Trevor. I'm talking one story, one colored story, and that's criminality. Whereas there's many people in the colored township. That's why there's so many churches, bro. You're telling me all those people are criminals? You know what I mean? All those people are seeking for that refuge, for that enlightenment. They want to be good people.
But
so you're telling me that, but life happens, you know? Life happens.
And it's also, I mean, a lot of, like, but the thing is, like, a lot of people aren't just good people, but because they're in a township, people will just automatically think negatively of them, like, and think lesser of them. I mean, I'm talking from my side, like, you know, like growing up in middle-class-ish areas and, like, with middle-class people, you know, you automatically think that just because someone's poorer, that they're scummy or that they're dangerous or that they're, like, you know, have the potential to commit crimes on you.
Yeah, because poverty is made to seem like it's that person's fault, and that's the big problem. It's almost a character trait. Poverty.
Yeah,
people see poverty structural as a character trait, whereas more it's not.
And they work harder.
Yeah, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's so. Even me, when I do Parker's Comedy Club, I feel a sense of this person thinks they're better than me.
I haven't done Parker's and I don't ever really want to. Like I've heard stories, I've seen stuff. Not for me, man. Like
Parker's Comedy Club is definitely one of those places where I feel like those people do feel like I am beneath them.
And they get to chuckle at you like you're the jester.
Yeah, I feel like I'm chucking and driving. and it sucks a bit, but...
it's paying gigs, man.
Sometimes you need to, the kids need to eat.
Yeah, dude. Fuck. And that's the thing that, like, I do, like, I feel for other comedians, because even Neil and I chat about this, you know, like, like we chat about this in the podcast, just that having to, like, balance, like, you know, your art versus corporate vibes and, you know, your identity versus what the crowd sees you as. Like, it's such a fucking fine line, like, you've got to walk, like, as, you know, a person of color in this country sometimes, I guess. Yeah,
it also sucks because being colored also means I represent all
colored people,
everyone else, and that sucks. I'm my own person, you know.
Exactly, because that's also the thing, is people see you as the identity and not as the individual.
I am my own person. I'm one. I always say that growing up in the township, even me, I always felt like I don't belong. There's not a place I feel like where I belong. I feel like everywhere. I don't belong anywhere.
Do you think like that's like because of an intellectual thing almost? Like you maybe didn't like think the same way as everyone around you? Because I can maybe see that in you, that you would have been thinking about different stuff and everyone else would have just been going with the flow.
Yeah, I think it's because I think of other things. Even at family gatherings, I always, because when I'm around my family and I start talking about things, I can always feel them switch off. I've
I had
gone
a
too
s-
deep again. Eh?
I had a similar experience growing up. Like I was always like people used to make fun of me because it would be like, oh, he read it in a book. And people like I would say something and people were like, how do you know that? And I'd be like, oh, I read it in a book. So like I would just have the piss taken out of me.
It's funny how ignorance is laughed at. I mean, how
Is applauded,
is
yeah.
applauded. Yeah, it's funny. It's very funny how.
But that's an insecurity thing because people see you doing that and they feel insecure because they're like, fuck this, or because he thinks he's better than me, like kind of thing.
yeah.
It's
They don't-
internalized like insecurity.
Yeah, because that's why I also don't tell people things anymore.
What do you mean by that? Like people like throw it back in your face.
Yeah, people are funny that way. You try and convey a message. Like say for instance, the other day someone posted on Facebook saying that the people Sasa, the lines were so long at a working person said the lines were so long they should get people from Sasa should get separate lines for their money because now they're making lines longer for us. For us people who earned our money. But like my sister, you are a teacher. First of all, you are a teacher at a government school. How many of those parents in that line are from your school?
Yeah.
And so you telling me that you think that you are better than the people in
You're
that
paying
line?
your salary with that money.
Yeah. You are just another person in the line. That's all you are. And I said it nicely, actually. I didn't say it like that, but in my mind, I said it very nicely. I was like, please don't lay judgment on those people. Those are just people trying to get their money, just like you are trying to get their money. Just because you worked for your money, and the other people got it for free.
But
like you
it's
say.
not like if you like getting money from SASA, like those grants and stuff, like can be because you've got kids, so you actually have to look after your kids and stuff. You get grants for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
And so maybe you're not working, but you're still contributing to like society in some way, and you need like some sort of sustenance because you can't work.
I also, because I was trying to tell her that poor people, we shouldn't be looking down on poor people. We should be ashamed that they are poor people.
Exactly.
We should be ashamed that they are poor people. We shouldn't be thinking that these people are lazy.
But once again, I think it's a fear thing, man. I think people are scared of becoming homeless. They see like their worst fear in those people, and so they have to distance themselves by being ugly to them.
You think so? I think.
I don't know.
I think it's more a power thing.
Okay.
I think it's more like I'm better than you. You poor. I worked me. You see me, I did all of this on my own.
Okay.
I am the boss. And you can go do the same thing, but you choose to draw money from the government.
Oh man, yeah. Fuck. Goddamn, this world is fucked up. Yeah. like having conversations like this, always like, I love it because I learn, but in the same time I get like even more depressed because it's just like I don't know if we're ever going to solve our issues, man. I don't know if people are ever like going to actually be kind and considerate to others, because like you're saying, it's like I was thinking it was more just an insecurity thing, but you're like thinking it's the opposite, and I think you might actually be right. Like I think I was just trying to see like the good in people and thinking like no, it's just their own personal like fears. It's not because they're actually assholes.
I think power is corruption. There shouldn't be power.
Well, absolute power.
There shouldn't be absolute power. There just shouldn't be. I think power is the thing that's keeping us behind.
But don't you find comedy has power in it?
Of course.
And like, how do you wield that power? So you're obviously conscious of it, like that you have power, that people are listening to you, that you have influence. So like, how does that feel to you to actually have that power and that responsibility?
I do feel like South African audiences, they are not it's a bit different with South African audiences. They are not the best of listeners. They are not the best. They are not the best of
I'm
listeners.
laughing because you're right.
They are not the best of listeners, bro.
Like they'll hear the joke, but
They-
they won't hear the
They won't-
philosophy
yeah.
behind it.
They won't even hear. They'll just hear a buzzword and be like, "Oh snap!
The land.
How dare you?" You know what I mean? The other day at Parker's Comedy Club, I think there's a gag I do where I'm like, I love the window seat. The window seat is the best seat on the plane because you get to see all the land we're gonna get.
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
And then the white people were just like shook.
Oh, were they?
No, they were shook. The white people, I was like, really?
Wow, is Parker's like, so Parker's is a room where even white people don't laugh at land jokes, because everywhere else nowadays white people are like, we can laugh at that because we still got the land. It's not like good
No,
joke.
I just think it was just that audience on that night
Yeah.
because I did that gag for 2 nights before it,
And it's
audiences loved
nailed.
it, yeah, because it's the simple land joke.
Yeah.
And then, but then people were like shook. Like, oof. I was like, oh snap, that means I can't do that white genocide jokes. That's all
I mean,
that means.
all it means you can. It's just gonna be a bit of a tense night from there on out.
Because I can tell if you laugh at that, then you know you're probably not gonna like the white genocide jokes.
But don't you ever then feel like maybe I should do the white genocide jokes, or do you just go, let me actually just keep this show on the rails and let's everyone have a good time?
Sometimes you just have to be funny, eh? Sometimes you don't need to push no philosophy, don't need to push no bigger idea. You just have to be funny, and that's all I try and be.
So,
most of the day.
like, how do you determine that? Is it like, so do you know when people are there for the, like, what about like when you're performing? Do you get like, okay, this crowd's the one for me to actually talk more honestly, and which are the ones that make you go, cool, I'm just doing my job tonight?
I've got an opening line, and I know if that line hits, we're going. I think that line, it's a line where I go, there's always a white person in the audience, and I ask a white person, have you ever been to Eldorado Park? They always go no. They're like, oh, it's where your ancestors put us.
Yeah.
And that line like really hit. If that line really hits, then I'm like, okay, I see where we're going here. But if that line doesn't hit, then I'm like, ooh, might be a bit more.
Okay, we're going with this. Yeah, we're going with the safe material
Yeah,
tonight.
we're going with the safe one. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll just think of some lines. I never deviate from who I am or anything. I'll just take away some things I know
Yeah.
would be a bit more.
See, I used to just lean into being like an asshole about atheism, like back in the day. And like, I don't even do like any religious material these days, but every now and again I'll throw one in. But like, I'll never do the hectic stuff anymore because it's just, no audience came here for that. Like,
Yeah, people came to laugh, man.
exactly, no one came for like a lecture. They want to laugh. And so
Yeah.
even me, like, I've learned to like put my philosophies in my comedy, but without like putting it in your face too much, like without like doing that, because I used to be like that. I just used to be like, fuck you, you're wrong, like, I'm right. Like, and it's just such a horrible way to be.
Yeah, it's also because you can speak the truth, but it also which place does it come from?
Yeah.
The truth that
Well,
you speak. Does it come from an
no,
arrogant
it came
view?
from a hateful place. It came
You
from
know
a
what I
place of being angry at the church, man.
And the
'cause-
crowd and the audience can see that. Bro.
Yeah,
They can
exactly.
see- I have a joke where I speak about not wanting, or I don't know if I want to go to heaven, and I've done it at I do it in small places and they love it there, because I don't.
Because they might have had the same thoughts.
That joke is I think the thing about that joke is not. I don't want to go to heaven or I hate heaven. I'm just like, think about what the idea of what heaven is.
Was
Think
it
of
you
what
weren't
it
the one
is.
doing the worship forever, were you?
Yeah,
Oh,
the worship forever and ever. No ever.
And I mean, that's a thought, because I mean, I was Christian and stuff, and like, that is a thought that, like, you're like, yo, but forever though? Like,
Yeah, it's like it's a long time to just be doing that one
like,
thing.
because like everyone tells you like, no, heaven's like opals and
Bliss,
this
yeah.
and that. I'm like, but like, I don't even want a fucking like castle with opals and gems. Just give me a half pipe, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like, let me play my
There's other things,
PlayStation.
the simpler things that I want, yeah.
But then I was told that heaven's literally whatever you imagine it to be. That's what it's going to be, and I was like, cool.
That's the best one.
Yeah, like I'm in for that. Cool.
That's a Sims world.
Yeah, because it's like, no, in the Bible it's just metaphors. They're just saying
Yeah.
that because that's what those people at the time would have wanted. And I'm like, cool, man, I'm on board. Like, I'm in. But it's cool, man. I think we've actually got quite a lot out of this conversation, man.
Cool.
I'm so stoked. I got to know you like a lot better now. I've got into like,
Away.
and you are someone who I've looked at a bit more from afar and like really just appreciated like, your comedy and your career. Like, I think
Thank you very much.
like, I think you're a bit too humble for your own good. Like, but at the same time, you're also very confident in yourself. So that's the thing. You don't project, like, you just don't overly project it, which I like. But you've got that confidence that you know you can do this thing. I just, one day maybe I'll get there.
I hope you get there soon, man.
But until then, I'm just going to keep watching you and I'm going to keep, like, just going.
Just keep getting on stage.
Yeah, that is the thing.
Yeah.
But anything you want to plug before we go?
Anything I want to plug? When will this be on?
2 weeks' time.
2 weeks' time. Oh, I'm going to be at Blacks Only in Cape Town.
What date's that?
On the 9th of April.
9th of April. Okay, plenty of time. Cool.
Yeah.
So if you're listening,
9th of March.
Oh, okay. I'll get this up that week then.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll put this up that Wednesday. Perfect.
Yeah.
So if you're in Cape Town, go catch Dillan. And anywhere else, in Joburg, you're always performing.
Yeah, I'm always around. Yeah,
So-
Goliath and all those. Yeah.
Goliath, Melville.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. Thank you so much for your time, bro.
Thank you so much.